as she would really like to welcome you over there. Apologies for the technical problem at the beginning of the show. It's episode 183 today of Level Up, 60 minutes of live Q&A, where your questions really do drive the show. And Shanice is the person who's doing the welcoming over in the social chat. So do say hello to her. Now, submit your questions to the panel, please. And if it's selected, then your name is going to appear in the credits at the end of the show. So do get your questions in early and stay with us to see all of that happening. Art and science have their meeting point in method, goes the phrase. And perhaps this is most evident when we do think about business relationship management and what it really represents. Gartner speak of it as the art of delivering business capabilities to further organizational goals whilst managing business partner expectations of what IT can deliver, and encourage all organizations, and in particular those in government, to build better BRM capability. Helping us think through the world of business relationship management is an expert panel that we've assembled today. So let's jump in and meet them all. Malini Jayaganesh rejoined us from Melbourne in Australia, an accomplished business relationship coach and mentor. Malini's style, I think it's fair to say, is to find the key to unlock potential in everybody that she works with. An accomplished speaker, author, and advocate, Malini's passion for doing the right thing is truly inspirational. Welcome back to Level Up, Malini. Great to see you.
Likewise, Nick, and thank you for that lovely introduction. And my greetings to my fellow panelists and our viewers from around the world. Looks to be a very interesting conversation today.
I think it will be. I really do think it will be today. Stephan Brendel is, of course, the regional lead for Europe and Latin America for APMG. And he's joining us today from the very beautiful city of Cologne in Germany, where he champions BRM through his network of accredited training and consulting organizations around the world. Always looking for quality in every aspect of his work. Stephan builds business relationships across a diverse group of countries and, of course, business cultures as well. Welcome back, Stephan. Great to see you.
Thanks, Nick, and welcome to all my other panelists as well. Looking forward to this very important topic.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Luca Gambetti, you may remember, is the founder of Equality Italia. He's located over in Rome, in Italy, where he continues to build a truly world-class business coaching and education service. Luca holds both the BRMP and the CBRM qualifications himself personally, and is most proud of the achievement of his team in the field of BRM. So welcome back to Level Up. Luca, great to see you again.
Thank you, Nick, for your introduction. Very happy to be here in these days in which we are seeing a lot of interest for BRM in Italy.
Okay, fantastic. It's good to note that as well. Darrel Popowich is the Chief Visionary Officer and COO over at the BRM Institute itself. He has extensive experience in leadership and in executive coaching. With a strong background in IT, Darrel is a respected thought leader, coach and speaker, and joined us today, I think, from the city of Calgary. So welcome back to Level Up. Darrel, great to see you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nick. Welcome, panel. Looking forward to an engaging conversation about the importance of BRM and taking value to the next level.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Mart Rovers completes our panel today. He is, of course, the president over at INTERPROM. He focuses on leadership coaching with his team of consultants working in both the US and also in Europe. A strong believer in giving back, Mart has set up and facilitated a wide range of professional communities and continues to build BRM capability in his day-to-day work around the world. Welcome back, Mart, from sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, although I imagine it's a little bit dark outside just right now.
It is, Nick. It is midnight at the moment. Thank you, Nick, for having me. Thank you, APMG, for having me. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Look forward to, again, some exciting questions. And I wanted to start off with a quote that can maybe get us going as far as business relationship management. As we all know, it's based on trust. And there's this quote that says, a relationship without trust is like a car without gas. You can stay in it all you want, but you won't go anywhere.
Fantastic. You can stay in it all you want, but you won't be going anywhere. Marvellous. I really like that one. I'm going to make a note, actually, of that one. Thank you very much indeed, Mart. Our question master for today is Suchitra. Suchitra Jacob. She's joining us from the IT city of Bangalore in southern India. Welcome back, Suchitra. How are things with you?
Hi, Nick, and hello to the panelists and, of course, our viewers. It's been a good weekend, and I can't wait to ask questions for today's show.
All right, excellent. Well, wherever you are in the world, and I can see lots of you joining online. We've got people from the UK, we've got people from Africa, we've got people from Australia, we've got a whole range of different cities being represented. Do say which city that you're from, please, and the country that you're in. Idara, thanks so much for joining again this morning. Really great to have you online, and we'll come and look at some of the other folks in a few minutes. But for now, Suchitra, I think we should get underway, and let's have our first question for the panel.
Sure. So our first question is from Henry in Chicago, who asks, what are some good character traits to possess or to work on to become a successful business relationship manager?
Well, what a great question, Henry. So character traits, what should we try and possess or indeed develop? Malini, start us off on this one, please.
Henry, thank you for that question. There are, of course, many character traits, but the one that I value the most is having genuine interest in other people. And I emphasize genuine because people will very quickly pick up, if you do take if you try to forge a relationship for shallow reasons. I think people are quite quite tuned into that. So take a genuine interest in other people because we believe that we can achieve more together, right? And that almost to the point that we say we can't achieve great results without other people, working with us. And so people need, good BRM needs to firmly believe that.
I completely agree with that. And nowhere is it more evident than on LinkedIn, where people approach you and then the very next thing that they say is, by the way, do you want to buy some of this? You kind of think, yeah, right. So thank you very much indeed. Completely agree with that. Meaningful relationships are the most important thing. Have that genuine interest in the other person. Darrel, your thoughts on this, and then we'll go to Luca.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm going to extend that a little bit. A genuine interest. Empathy certainly is that first component that BRMs need to walk into every room, every situation, every conversation, put yourself in their shoes. And so the easiest, or one of the easiest anyway, traits to be able to facilitate that, to demonstrate that is active listening. Right, that seek to understand and then repeat back. This is what I think I heard. This is what I thought we're trying to accomplish. What you're looking for, and so the listening, repeating back with that empathetic view of what are you trying to get out of it. And so those are a couple starting traits to bring into your role, and as you start your day and as you end your day.
It's a real skill to be able to do that, and to be able to do that with variety, and to get that comfort level, with playing things back to colleagues and to others in meetings and this kind of thing. And so very important, isn't it? Because we all imagine sometimes that communication has happened, but what was transmitted and what was received are two very different things on occasion. So completely agree with that. Thank you so much indeed, Darrel. Great point. Luca, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Mart.
Yes, I will say it is very important to understand how the organization provide value to the customers and how these values is actually built. This is very nuanced. It is a very sophisticated concept because it includes understanding real needs of people, understanding how these needs can be fulfilled, and understanding the contribution of everyone in the company to this value creation.
So that comes through very strongly as a golden thread here, seeking that understanding, genuinely trying to understand what the other person's situation is or the organization situation is, and then addressing it. Thank you very much indeed, Luca. Mart, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Stephan.
In addition to the answers already given, which are fantastic answers, I would like to add that it also has to do with the mindset. You have an authentic mindset. Do you have a mindset as in it's not about me, it's about us? It's as in there's two people involved or multiple people involved. So do you act and do you think like I'm one of many? That team mindset, team spirit. It's a different approach than it's about me and my needs. And if my needs are not being fulfilled, then there's no relationship. There's two sides to the story. So that's that mindset again.
Absolutely right. Getting that balance right and ensuring that, we do that almost servant style, approach to it and really think that positioning through. Thank you very much indeed, Mart. Stephan, some of the traits to possess or to work on. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, great answers given by all my fellow panelists. I thought about what is actually anything to add. Yes, there is, and this is integrity. Because as Mart said earlier, when you're building on trust, then you have to give a great level of integrity, which probably gets along with authenticity. Because if you're not authentic, you can't be an integer person for a very long time. Let me put it this way. So being an integrity, providing a level of integrity is an important part, which adds to all the other stuff that's been said.
It's that little word, it's that short word, but it means so much, doesn't it? To have that integrity, to understand where you are, and to be consistent, and to do the right thing all of the time. So thank you, man. Really good guidance there. What a fantastic question to kind of start us off. Now, we've got a strong audience from around the world. I did mention that a little earlier. Let's jump in and meet some of them. Idara rejoins, a regular viewer from Abuja in Nigeria. Really great to see you online today. Thank you for joining. And Abby is joining from the city of Sheffield in the UK, up there in South Yorkshire. Very beautiful. God's own country, Yorkshire has been referred to in the past. So very lovely part of the United Kingdom. And Puneet joined us from Kolkata in India. Thank you so much for joining today. So excellent. If you're in the chat, then it's time for you to submit your questions. Shanice is online, ready to feed them into the panel. So please do that. Get your questions in early. It's a fantastic career to be a business relationship manager, and this is the team to help you get there. So get your questions in there. All right, excellent. In the meantime, Suchitra, let's press on. We'll take our next question, please.
Our next question is from Rajesh. How can a BRM help the organization undergo a cultural shift to become more customer-centric and agile?
Now, this must be the dream of every BRM, I think, around the world. If you're doing this and you're enjoying this role, this is kind of the ultimate outcome, really. Darrel, in real life, I imagine it's quite hard work. There's some quite hard work involved in getting there. But why don't you start us off, and then we'll hear from Stephan.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. That is a fabulous question. The first and foremost is organizations trying to be customer centric, and then not the recent wave, but it certainly is getting a resurgence around agile and the agile methodology, more than just in IT and software development, spreading out into other parts of the organization. And so how does a BRM really help? Really connecting, in my mind, connecting to those high level metrics of what customer centricity is, and helping parts of the organization where they're influencing, where they're owning those relationships, allowing the insides of the organization, those departments, those groups, to see how they're impacting the highest level customer-centric relationship, or how they're impacting the agile methodology and moving through the process of driving value through the iterations and the sprints. And so BRM's connecting the people in the busyness of their day to the value at the highest level really will allow a bunch of the decisions by dozens and hundreds of people in the organization to really meet that impact and that they're looking for.
It's so true, isn't it? By being able to provide that evidence of situational leadership, others will then aspire, and others will join you, and others will start to build that new culture, if you like. Thank you very much indeed, Darrel. Stephan, your thoughts, please. Then we'll go to Malini.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, in fact, of course, BRM has to understand customer needs. He's even kind of an advocate. The point here is, if you want to be customer-centric, then the customer has to justify that. It's not enough when you say we are customer-centric. It's the other side that has to have that perception as well. So the point always is between advocating for customer, understanding all the needs, but at the same time being confident and that there is an ability to execute on those expectations. And that's where the BRM has mainly the internal role to make that happen.
It's certainly true, isn't it? Because we can imagine that we're customer centric, but unless you have, as your point, the evidence of that, if you've actually asked not just one customer, but many customers consistently kind of thing, are you meeting their needs as an organization? It's a little bit of a fantasy in a way. So thank you, Stephan. Let's go to Malini, and then we'll hear from Mart.
Rajesh, you've actually asked quite a loaded question, because cultural shifts can actually be incredibly complex and messy things. And BRMs do actually have a leading role to play. In fact, in the BRM body of knowledge, we say that evolving culture is one of the key things that BRMs do. And, in the answer to the previous question, you heard several of the panelists talk about listening and empathy and so on. So it starts by us understanding, what does the customer actually need? Who is the customer of the organization? And often over time in large organizations, we'll find functions actually lose sight of that. They get so caught up in their operational goals, they actually lose sight of the wider or the broader organization purpose. And BRMs can play a really valuable role in helping to focus everybody back on the organization's purpose, and then translating that into desired behaviors on a day-to-day basis. That's actually quite a difficult thing to do, but incredibly satisfying.
And that organizational purpose is something that we might explore a little further later on in the episode, Malini, because I think people like the idea of an organizational purpose, but they're not always entirely sure, how to go about expressing what the purpose of the organization is. So we might come back to that with your patience if we can. Mart, your thoughts on the cultural shift and becoming more customer-centric?
Indeed, I would like to focus on that portion. For the body of knowledge of the BRM Institute, a BRM is responsible to evolve culture. And of course, culture means certain behaviors. And in this case, we're looking for a more customer-centric behavior. That means outside-in thinking. That means position yourself in the world of your customer. A very good book that was written once by Jan Carlson was Moment of Truth. where this behavior in this organization always about the next decision that we make, the next communication that goes out, the next process that we implement. If we do all this from a customer point of view, what's the experience? What's that moment of truth for this customer? Will this customer actually do business with us? Will this customer continue to do business with us? And that all had to be backed by the right behavior, in other words. And that's where the BRM comes in to evolve and that culture, drive that behavior, maybe find some key influencers, people that already portray that right behavior, put them in the spotlight and make them exemplary employees. That's where the BRM comes in to help that culture, help that behavior.
It's such a great term, isn't it? To be an exemplar, to live the life, if you like, and to exhibit those behaviors and to be part of the culture that you would like to see around you is such an important thing. And it's something that everybody can do. Whatever meeting you're in today, try and be the culture that you want to see in your organization, that you believe your organization, ought to become. And little by little, it really does work. The sea erodes the cliff. Okay, and great things will happen if everybody is consistent in that. So thank you, Mart. That's my word of the day, exemplar. So thank you very much indeed. Great start to my week from you. Excellent, very good indeed. Suchitra, I can see we've got a whole stack of questions coming in from the live audience. So I think we should press on. Let's take our next question, please.
Sure, and we do have a live question from AO. Is it necessary for a BRM to possess design thinking skills in order to operate effectively?
Well, design thinking. Now, here's a really good kind of combination, if you like, of methods and approaches and so on. Stephan, why don't you start us off and then we'll hear from Mart.
Well, first of all, I think it's not necessary in terms of being mandatory to have design thinking skills, but it is, of course, helpful. I mean, empathy plays a role in design thinking, and so does it in BRM. We heard that before. Also, the iteration, which used to be characteristic for an agile approach, but to use iterations. I think this is all helpful. This adds on. This will help a BRM, but I don't think it's mandatory. And the reason why is,
all right, thank you.
If you're not empathetic, then don't know if design thinking will help you train that. There are other ways to get to that.
Okay, I understand completely. It's a fabric, and when you start unpicking individual threads, it loses its integrity, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you very much, Stephan. Mart, your thoughts, then we'll go to Malini.
I'd like to home in on the problem-solving aspect of design thinking, and then it's a big yes. In other words, a BRM should be pretty good at that, helping solve problems. And it can be personal problems, can be business problems, relationship problems, you name it. In other words, are you the fixer in ways you are? Do you have the answer for every problem? Of course not. You just have the right connections to bring forward to find the solution to the problem. But definitely that mindset, as in bring it on, I can solve these problems, and then maybe with the help of design thinking skills. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I have to say, I think there's a huge amount to be gained from understanding a methodical approach, breaking problems down, as you say, looking to seek to solve problems and to help others, to solve problems is an important blend. And the key thing is it's a blend, isn't it? It's a woven fabric of many different competencies and capabilities that people really need. Thank you very much indeed, Mart. Malini, your thoughts on this, design thinking and the BRM role itself?
So, from my personal experience, I would say that learning about design thinking, both the philosophy and the methods, has helped me to become a better BRM. So, I certainly encourage my teams to learn about other disciplines, and design thinking is definitely one of them, right? And I think one of the things that struck me quite early on when I was learning about design thinking is this idea that's central to human-centered design, which is when we're working in a team, when we're working as a team to get to an outcome. If you say, what are we doing? We are helping to set each other up for success. So that comes back to things that we've said previously in this hour about, understanding that we are part of something that's bigger than ourselves, and that we each have a role to play in that. I think there's a very strong overlap between design thinking and BRM. But remember, in the BRM Institute, we say BRM is both an art and a science. So, we do need to think flexibly about how we actually implement some of these things and not get, caught up in very rigid frameworks. So a blend of these things will definitely be very helpful.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How, when you read a method like design thinking, you recognize so much of your career and the situations that you've been in earlier in your career echoed in the process, in the method itself, in the body of knowledge and so on. Because somebody has taken the time to write down what works well. And so I totally agree with you. I think it's fantastic to enrich and enhance the knowledge base that you have. You'll recognize a lot of different things in that, but never forget that the core role of the BRM is a little bit different. So in the Venn diagram of skills, it's going to be in there. It's not going to be a replacement for that relationship, that empathy, that integrity, that trust building, and so on. Excellent answer. Thank you, Malini. And Luca, final thoughts on this one, please.
Yes, very quickly adding to what my colleagues said, design thinking is not necessary, but it's useful to introduce in the organization the concept of wicked problem. I mean, people coming from a technical background are used to find a solution for everything, but not everything as a simple solution. We live in a complicated world, so we have wicked problems, problems that are contradictory. You want something that is cheap and is powerful, that is easy to use and has a lot of function. This is not possible. So yes, a BRM trained in design thinking concept can be a great facilitator between the function and the business.
It's certainly true. And you can see that from time to time on the television if you watch Dragon's Den in the UK or Shark Tank, I think it's called, in different parts of the world, and you see people's ideas and they are really a solution looking for a problem to solve sometimes, aren't they? It's that kind of thing. So do be cautious when you're applying this kind of thinking in real life. Okay, very good. Let's jump over to social. Finori, thank you very much indeed. Joining from Middlesbrough in the UK, up there in the northeast of the country. Great to have you online. And Oyedamola, thank you so much indeed for joining. And she's also joined the UK. So we've got quite a few folks actually from the UK today. Ayo, of course, regular contributor. And thank you for your question, joining from Nigeria. Brilliant to have you online. And Stella joins us today from the city of Nairobi over in East Africa in Kenya. So fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, everybody. Suchitra, let's press on and take our next question for the panel.
Our next question is from George Smith in the UK. I have over 20 years experience in B2C and B2B BRM. How would taking the BRMI qualifications help me develop my career?
Well, this is a really great question, George, and thank you for raising it to the panel, because sometimes people imagine that qualifications are just for folks who are starting out, in a role, and not necessarily for people who are mid to late career. And I personally disagree with that philosophy entirely. Mart, why don't you start us off, and then we'll hear from Malini.
The BRM Institute body of knowledge is for any kind of relationship, whether it's within the organization or between organizations, so between teams. between departments, business units, you name it. So most, if not everything, that the BRM Institute puts forward as far as maturing relationships, establishing quality relationships, trust-based relationships, strategic partnerships, also applies to external relationships to the organization. If George, if you're looking for something that is also in support of this, would be the ISO 44001 standard, which is the business relationship management standard for the ISO organization in Switzerland. And actually, that standard was also a standard that the CEO of the BRM Institute has contributed to. In other words, that's just in addition to the standard. It actually defines a relationship in 8 stages. And it starts with the moment you think of a relationship until the moment you end the relationship, which can happen, of course, in external relationships. So it's a nice addition to the BRM Institute's body of knowledge, but it definitely contributes to your needs. So I'd say become a member and start benefiting.
Thank you very much indeed, Mart. Malini, your thoughts, and then we'll hear from Darrel.
George, I was actually quite a successful BRM before I started undertaking the BRM institution qualifications. And the difference or the value that I got from the BRMP, which is the foundational certification, business relationship management professional, is that it provided me with some structure and some vocabulary, to frame some of the things that I had been doing intuitively, which I really needed to articulate better if I had to, influence people who were several levels above me in the organization, or enroll other people, to progress BRM capability in our organization. So I think you'll find the qualification incredibly valuable as an add-on to your experience. I'm also thinking, George, that given that you have over 20 years of work experience, you're probably at a stage in your career where you want to, be a people leader and bring other people along on the journey. And taking a more structured approach will actually help to drive consistent practice. Because you might be a great BRM, that doesn't necessarily mean that the people that you're leading will all consistently do so. And the qualifications will help you to give them that sort of scaffolding that they need so that they can actually operate well as a team.
I love that. It gives you that framework, that vocabulary to be able to use, to be consistent and to be credible. That's fantastic. Thank you, Malini. And real world experience there, George, of somebody who came to the qualifications, mid-career, if you like. Darrel, your thoughts on George's situation and the certifications?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to build a little bit on and hopefully add a little bit of structure and formality. I was a CIO in Canada for about 3.5 years before I actually got introduced to the Business Relationship Management Institute in the community at large. And I also realized I was acting in the role of a BRM, and that is how I got to that top IT position. And then actually being introduced to the formal methodology, the body of knowledge, business relationship management professional, that foundational component opens your eyes to all of the structure and the tools and techniques that I can bring more formally and with a disciplined approach into my job, and then ensure that I'm guiding and leading my teams and asking the questions of the dozens of different techniques to help evolve culture, build partnerships, and drive value. What are we going to use today to change the culture, to change the way we do things with our business partners in our relationships? And then extending above and beyond that, you get into the certified business relationship management professional, and you start actually getting into the application and practice of using these techniques. And that's where you start to learn how others professionally do it to achieve the impact and results in their organization and change. And you get into the community and you start seeing the differences of how you've done things against what the standard is. And that will allow you to improve. And so part of the BRM, part of the significant drive in the community is to continually improve ourselves and each other within the community. And so getting into the terminology and the standards and the way that everyone else is incorporating it will help you. And then in your career, when you start engaging with other BRMs outside of the organizations you've been in, you won't be confusing any of the language that you use with the language that they use, because you're coming from that same structured body of knowledge and that same approach and mentality. So it is really important to get into it along with the rest of us, for sure.
I totally agree with that, because then you're bringing the best of yourself with the best of the community. By definition, the community itself has formed specific terms and that scaffolding that was being referred to a little earlier. So by adopting that, you're actually enhancing the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. So thank you very much indeed, Darrel. Malini, you wanted to add another comment.
Yes, just another thought that struck me, George. At the moment, one of the things that you get when you do undertake the BRM professional certification is a complimentary 3-month membership to the BRM Institute, and you can use that to access the online campus and connect with business relationship managers from around the world, from different industries, from different countries. And you can certainly benefit from their experience, and you can also share and showcase your learnings and your achievements. And it's a wonderful thing to have that link to have a place to link to the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that, Malini. That sense of borrowing, ideas and getting cross-fertilization of concepts and ideas from different industries and applying them into your own contextual situation is a fantastic advantage. Now, one of the ways to do that, George, is to take those qualifications. I think the value proposition there is very strong for you. Become a member of the Institute. And actually coming up this autumn or fall, depending on whereabouts you are in the world, summer actually it is, springtime if you're in the southern hemisphere. I can't recommend this enough. Okay, it's a fantastic event, spread over 3 days, October the 8th through to the 11th, in the very fantastic city of Portland, up in Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest of the US. And you can find out so much more about the conference itself and about the work of the BRM Institute just by point your smartphone at the screen and allow the bit.ly link to take you through to the registration page for that event. You can see the speaker list, you can see the conference concepts and so on. I think that will give you a really good flavour, actually, even if you're not able to attend, but it gives you a flavour of what the Institute is all about, and it will jump you over to their website anyway. So do have a good look at that. Can't recommend that enough. Now then, let's continue, if we can do, Suchitra, and take our next question to the panel, please.
Our next question is from Oluwa Pelumi. How do I blend my project management skills with the role of BRM?
All right. What a great question. Thank you so much indeed. Blending our project management and BRM skills. Let's mix it up a little. Luca, why don't you start us off this time, and then we'll hear from Stephan.
Yes. Well, first of all, let's point out the difference between the two roles very briefly. A project management is focused on delivering something on respecting time, cost, and quality, while BRM is more working on the why we are delivering something. But nevertheless, use a BRM, you can use for sure your skills to interact with the project managers in your organization, just speaking their language and understanding what is happening in terms of schedule control, cost control, quality control, and whatever.
Thank you very much indeed. Great answer to that question. Thank you so much indeed. Stephan, your thoughts, then we'll go to Darrel.
Well, BRMs are running projects actually all the time. It's not all what they're doing are projects, but they're doing a lot of those. So having sharpened the skills that are trained and and delivered in project management is actually quite a great help. As an example, it's the project planning, which is an essential role of a project manager. Project planning is important, and so is the what we talked about, is the understanding the client needs. Also, one of the reasons why a lot of projects fail. So this might be where the BRM capacity might be even better and useful for project managers. And what feeds into changes, every project is a change. What BRMs do is a lot of changes as well. So I think he did. It's a great combination, although there's overlap already.
It really is a fantastic combination, and it is definitely going to enhance your skills as a project manager. So, brilliant answer. Thank you so much indeed. Darrel, next, and then we'll hear from Mart.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief since there's so many of us that have great answers ready to come forward. I think that when I, again, was leading that BRM team, that looking for when the value gets into the organization is such a key component of the BRM's role of driving value, measuring the value, reporting on it, and then working the relationships inside the organization to make sure it happens. Well, all of those varied stakeholders, all of those different owners of business functions have their own initiatives and their own delivery of value going on at the same time. And then when you start having the intermingling, the dependency upon each other, if it's not necessarily a formal project, that's where you're going to have the BRM linking the dependencies together, linking the handoffs between functional organizations, and in ensure that there's awareness all the way through, from development through to marketing, from build through to launch. And so that background in project management is really going to help a BRM be able to logically put all these different dependencies of all these value streams together. And so it certainly is a necessary component for a BRM to be effective, and having that project management background. I've seen so much success from BRM starting out there. It's a differentiator for project managers in my mind.
I completely agree with that. One of the things that a lot of project management methods focus on is getting across the line on time, on budget, with the right scope, the right quality, and all of that good stuff. And that's super important. Okay, I really get that. But what the C-suite focus on is what happened then? What benefits did we realize? How much is the world different to how it was before? And, without the perception and the insight of the world of being a business relationship manager, it's kind of tricky. So if you want to be a project manager that's known to tick the boxes, then ignore the world of BRM. If you want to be a project manager that really delivers for your organization, for your ecosystem, for your value chain, for your customers, be a better BRM. There you go. Thank you very much indeed, Darrel. Excellent answer. Thanks so much. Let's hear from Mart, and then we'll go to Malini.
I'll keep it brief. For me, as a project manager or somebody with the right skills, should be a good connector. And that's what business relationship managers are all about. So being a good connector, I just run into too many projects still where the project manager didn't really connect all the stakeholders. In other words, not all the stakeholders were involved in the project. Just a very recent example, a major project was about to go live in a multi-billion-dollar company, believe it or not. Guess who was not involved? The people that were supposed to answer any questions at the customer service desk. And neither was marketing, as far as how do we market this new product? As in, hey, PM, how can you forget about those folks? So knowing the stakeholders And getting the right people involved and connected with these projects, I think that would be a huge skill where the BRM and the project manager world are coming together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much indeed. Malini, final thoughts on this one?
One of the things that I've observed happening is business relationship managers can overstimulate demand that the provider function does not have the capability to deliver. So in your position, with your understanding of project management and delivery constraints and so on, you would actually make a great strategic BRM, because you will actually stimulate demand that is feasible to deliver, so that it just is not a never-ending wish list.
It's a really, really good point. Balancing those scales so that the organization is seen to be able to deliver and makes a real difference is such an important thing. Okay, thank you very much indeed, panel. Time is working against us, so we're going to move on. Suchitra, let's take our next question, please. And panel, we need to be fairly quick.
Our next question is from Robert. Does the BRM community offer any recommended reading?
Okay, Malini, start us off. Recommended reading.
So my first book recommendation is Business Relationship Management for the Digital Enterprise, written by Vaughan Merlin, who's one of the founders of the Institute. In fact, in the community, we refer to him as the godfather of BRM. So definitely read that one. One of the critical success factors for business relationship management is clarity. So clarity of purpose, clarity of roles, responsibilities, etc. And it can be quite a challenging thing to achieve that. So my second recommendation is a book called The Power of Clarity by Anne Latham. So it's a really useful read for BRMs.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Some QR codes on screen for you. I will also post some links into the chat as well if you're following online. Mart, your recommended reading, and then Luca.
I was very fortunate to be co-leading a knowledge team at the BRM Institute. Actually, it's still going on to publish the first playbook of a series of 5 around bringing a BRM team to life. All best practice around if you stand up this discipline in your organization and you have a BRM team, how do you best start this team, and then how do you best implement a team, mature a team, and make the team even better and better. So it's a first of a series of 5. The next publication will be released during BRM Connect. So it's actually next month. That's the second release. And currently we're working on the third release. That's the third edition.
Okay. Excellent. It's a little like the Godfather movies. There's more than one coming. So thank you very much indeed. Thanks, Mart. And Luca, final recommendation for some reading?
Yes, my recommendation will be the book BRM Explained, The Collected Works. This is the first of a series that will pick together the content of the BRMI Body of Knowledge. The BRMI Body of Knowledge is an online document accessible to the BRM Institute members. And this is a collection of the most significant posts of the BRMI book. A very good introduction.
Okay, excellent advice. Thank you very much indeed. Some great reading. Now that we're all back from vacations and this kind of stuff, you can really dig into to those books and build your knowledge up accordingly. Thank you very much indeed, panel. Some great suggestions. Suchitra, I think time is against us, so I think we'll take our final question for today's episode, please.
Our final question is from Henry. Besides BRM certification training, what other formal training should a business relationship manager consider?
All right, Stephan, start us off on this, and then we'll go to Malini.
Well, first of all, if the background of a BRM can be different, it can already have, or she kind of an industry a knowledge background or something like that. If not, it would be interesting, or it would be very recommended to understand the business the client is in. So not, let's say, as a project manager, you can be more generic. As a BRM, I think you have to dive a bit more into what
Okay, all right. Thank you very much indeed. Malini, your thoughts? And we'll go to Luca.
So I would encourage you, Henry, to take a very broad view of what knowledge areas you can build your competency in. So things like change management, for example, because when you're evolving culture in an organization, you are essentially driving change. And then also training that relates to agility, because that's on the priority or on the radar for many organizations these days. So even if you're not necessarily working as in an agile role in the organization, having an understanding of what agility is and some of the more common agile frameworks like Scrum will definitely be extremely helpful.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Luca?
Well, probably as a business relationship manager, you will be involved in a business case preparation. So two useful focused certification could be managing benefits from the book by Stephan Jenner, and better business cases coming from the Green Book of the Wales government.
Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate that. Mart, your thoughts, please.
I'd like to add two, since lots of BRMs prefer to operate at a strategic level. What would be really helpful when operating at that level is to know your financial management, but also know organizational risk management, two areas that leaders typically are heavily involved with. And if you want to think and operate like a leader, those would be good additional training courses to have, or skills to have.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And final thoughts on this, Darrel?
Yeah, it was mentioned earlier by one of the panelists here that business relationship management is an art and a science. And so, my colleagues here just listed off a number of the science, know your business, no change management, no finances, no project management or some of the other sciences. And while I would strongly encourage the art side of it is to know people, there is an extensive industry to be able to go and understand personality and behavior types, and also know yourself, know how you interact with certain types of people. That's the art. And you actually can get really good at the art if you, if you dive into it, and if you dive into learning about others and how interactions between people, and most importantly, as the BRM, how you interact with others to get the most out of that relationship.
Fantastic. Well, fantastic journey through today, panel. Thank you so much indeed. Those are some brilliant questions as well from a variety of different sources around the world. It's been really excellent. So thank you very much indeed, everybody. We're going to go to closing remarks now as we're tight on time. So let's work our way around the panel. Darrel, your closing remarks for today, please, and then we'll go to Stephan.
Yeah, thanks so much. Panelists, it's been a pleasure and a treat just to spend this time together with you. Business relationship management, for many of us, it was something that I found, and I didn't realize it was the family and community I always should have been part of. And as soon as I found the likes of people like you, I realized I wasn't crazy and insane. So for those out there that are wondering, is this something for me? It is probably the most important shift change in community you get involved with. So join on.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Thoroughly support that view as well. Join the community, people. Get your voice heard and also listen to others. Stephan and then Malini.
Well, thanks APMG, thanks panelists, and thanks to the viewers and listeners who brought up all these great questions here. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I think Darrel nailed it down on the art side of things in the previous question. That is true. As a BRM, you can become a great orchestrator. And that's because my kind of art is rather music. So I'm thinking in music terms, but orchestrating says it all.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Stephan. Malini and then Mart.
Thank you very much for including me in this conversation. I think it's fairly self-evident that I'm very passionate about business relationship management. And I think one of the things that our viewers can do is to connect with each one of us on LinkedIn and continue this conversation, because it's not something that we can explore fully in 1 hour. So stay in touch with us and let's continue exploring business relationship management.
Absolutely. Thank you so much indeed, Malini. We'll certainly take you up on that offer. Mart, your thoughts, and then Luca.
Thank you again for everybody for joining and for the great questions. I think it was very informative. Answers were quite broad. In other words, I'm sure there was something in it for everyone listening. So that was definitely, I think, a good experience there. Darrel Province once said how to build trust in a relationship. And he uses the word trusting, and hopefully a few of these keywords that he said, TRUS, and from trusting, hopefully resonate after this show, as in trusting starts with a T is for truth, R is for respect, U is for understanding, S is for safety, T is for transparency, I is for integrity, N is for nicely, and G is for genuineness.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. And very well done to that author to figure out such a long word. They usually pick shorter words, don't they, for that kind of thing. So that's a really nice. Thank you very much indeed. And Luca, final thoughts for today, and then we'll go to Suchitra.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, APMG. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, everyone who participated. I think that we are starting to realize that organizations are not centered on products and services. Organizations are centered on relations. So please join the community, join the BRM global community, and my Italian friends, please join the Italian community. We are starting to move here. And thank you again.
Excellent advice, and I couldn't agree more. Suchitra, your reflections on today's episode?
It's been a great episode, Nick, and I must thank our viewers for some amazing questions, and thank you to the panelists. I got some great book recommendations as well, so thank you.
It's very true, isn't it? It's extending all of our knowledge every week. We're very privileged and fortunate to be part of such a strong learning and evolving community of people online. So thank you, Suchitra, for navigating our way through all of the questions. Thanks very much to the producers. Of course, everybody who's online, you are the stars of the show because you put in the questions that drive the conversation. So thank you very much indeed. Great job. And do watch out for your name in the credits. If one of your questions was selected today, you're going to appear there. Okay. Now, over on our website, you can search for answers to, last time I looked, 1,960 questions are available over there. It's a great free resource for you to connect with more than 200 experts from around the world. We'll soon get to our 2,000th question. Imagine that. Don't forget as well that you can listen to the audio versions of the shows on your preferred podcast platform. So do tune in and download those. Just search for APMG International and level up your career, and you'll find us easily enough. Now, coming up on Friday this week, 2 p.m. UK time, Shanice is going to be in the facilitator's chair, and she's going to be leading the discussion on those must-have project management templates. Always a great show to run. Before next Monday, we're going to be dipping in at 8 a.m. To the thoughts on the big questions around change management. Stephan, who's on the panel today, will be leading that event for us. Okay. Thursday the 14th, we've got an Agile PM for Scrum event. That's all about empowering project success. So do look on the APMG International website for that one before Level Up returns on Friday the 15th. I'm going to be sitting in the driving seat for that one, talking about the world of becoming a business analyst and everything that's involved with that. Do head over to our YouTube channel, please. Give us a like. You can manage that. Just do it now. Just whiz over there, click the like and subscribe buttons if you would. It really does help to promote the channel and help other people discover the content. All right, so thank you for doing that. Just ask us and we will send you a personal summary of what's coming up and how you too can join us here on the panel and level up your career with APMG. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.